It's July 24, 2016. My rain gauge here says that there's 6 inches of water in here. Wow. I thought the report said we only got 4.5, but my rain gauge says we got 6 inches of rain, flash flood. We're going to go do a little survey around. You can see clearly there's still standing water. This golf course does really pretty good, up to about 1 inch of rain. When we get much more than 1 inch, things start backing up and getting a little ugly. You can see all the exposed fabric here, some of the erosion. I mean, with a rain like that, I'm not sure what would stop, but we're going to go and check the other experimental bunkers here in a minute. You can see this bunker needs to be completely, the sand needs to be completely shoveled back up. Putting greens, fortunately, all of our greens are perched on high ground. Helps them drain, help them surface drain. But as usual, you know, we get water in the cup, that will stay there all day. With the way these greens drain, they're so poorly drained subsurfacely. So our priority is to get the greens cleaned up, tees cleaned up, get the standing water off the fairways. It's supposed to get really hot today, more severe rain coming. So we want to preserve the health of that turf by getting the standing water off, like you see over there on 6. Bunkers are a low priority. It's going to take several days to get these things done and playable. But let's go take a look around and see. Oh, I see number 12. Perfect. Good to test that. Erosion control treatments over there. Here you can see the standing water that even if I wanted to open this golf course to walking only, just to simply get across this continuous moat in front of the 5th tee here, can't be done without getting wet up over your ankles. This is kind of one of our overflow drainage areas here. So Javier is checking the drains, making sure that they're working good. Sometimes you just have to be patient with this and let the water go down. There's really no place to go for the water sometimes. You can see the high water mark here, so this water's receded a couple feet. Felix has got the pump here. This is number 6. We're going to go to number 12 bunker here. Here we are on 15. You can see this is one of our areas that tends to flood. The grade of the land here is actually lower than the high level of the pond, so it's kind of a weird sensation. But we have a lot of drains in this fairway. You can see they're working, but what we have to do is keep going around and around with the guys to double check all these drains to make sure. All you need is like a dozen leaves to get in front of that grate. You can see some of them starting to accumulate, and then the drain slows down or doesn't even work anymore. But this one's taking the water really pretty well. So you just got to be patient, but if the sun and the heat comes out and starts cooking this ground because it's saturated, you know, then that's a problem. So we have the sprayers going out to try to treat for the Pythium and the brown patch primarily, and we'll start spot spraying these fairways and do what we can to protect them, drain them, and hope that that next wave of storms don't come that's being forecasted. You can see areas where mulch got pushed out with the flooding water. Here we're in front of 16T. This is our overflow here. Once our drainage system gets at full capacity, then it starts coming up over the top of the land, goes under the Wagner Road and out eventually to the river. Let's take a peek over here at our main drainage system. Just as another note, obviously the USGA green here, no water in the cups whatsoever. The surface is actually firm. Sometimes you get these pounding rains that actually firms the surface up even more so than these light little irrigation hand watering. So this green feels good and firm. definitely playable, where our other greens are just waterlogged, much like that fairway is out there pushing water. I just want to mention here, you can see these strips of distressed turf. We are not spraying this green with any fungicides whatsoever, and these blotchy yellow dying spots is the Poa annua getting anthracnose. You can see this area here is mostly bent grass from the Poa cure that we treated last year. The Poa cure killed the Poa annua, most of it, and therefore it's a stand of creeping bent, where this is a control strip where no treatment was applied. Much greater population of Poa annua that's dying from the anthracnose. So you look at this green and you see some of this stressed out turf. That's what's going on here. I could easily control that with a fungicide. I mean, it takes multiple applications, but I wanted to go ahead and decline and allow the bent grass to creep in to those areas. See Mike, he's spot spraying with a small sprayer to get areas that are either too tight for the big sprayer or that's too wet. Here you can see Tony, the big sprayer, out trying to spray whatever we can get to that's not flooded or too wet. JD's out on the other smaller rig, so we're not going to quite get all the fairways done, I don't think, just because there's too much standing water, but at least we'll get what we can in hopes that it's protected later in the day when the temperature is supposed to get back up into the low to mid 90s. At least we'll have a fungicide down to help prevent some of that rot from occurring. Here you can see this is our main artery leaving the property. We're in this little mulch shrub area here that's between 12T and 16T. Underneath that water is a big, like an 18-inch main line that takes our stormwater straight to the river, and you can see how much water is flowing into it. It's a lot. So thank God we actually have a pretty good system, but it took us many years to keep adding to this, repairing it, upgrading it, and we still have a little more to go in improving our drainage system, but it's taken us a lot of years with various projects to get this to the point where it drains as well as it does, being so flat and heavy soils that really resist good internal drainage. You can see here on number 11, this tends to be the last to drain. Most of the watershed on the golf course comes this direction. So as say holes 7 and 4 and 18 are draining, 10, you know, that area will drain first as the water comes this direction towards the river. This will be the last. You can see again, greens filled with water, super saturated soils. This is what you don't want, especially with the heat coming. Then these roots will just literally cook. You can see every bunker is washed out. So when you get a storm event like this, how do you budget for this? You can't really forecast this. It seems like we get one a year of some level. This one's a pretty good one, but we got hit this hard and even worse around the PGA Senior event, so they're never fun, but very time consuming to repair, disruptive to play, costly in both time and resources. I'm going to have to order a few more loads of sand now, because you can imagine we've lost some of this sand. Just a good time for you guys to see this, because you don't get out here during times like this to really witness what the place is like. The guys are so good at cleaning things up and efficient, picking up branches, that you don't really get to see this too often. Yeah, and all this debris needs to be hand raked up off the turf, otherwise that brown mulch is going to attract heat and actually cause little microclimates where disease and rot will occur rapidly. The priority today is to get the fairways addressed, both getting the water off the best we can, cleaning up the debris and spot spraying wherever we can, in hopes that we don't get smacked again. Again, here the guys are just using hand rakes to try to deal with these debris fields, whether it's leaves, whether it's mulch. Try to get the debris off. And like here, this elm, you can see here's the debris field, so they're working this way. So that's all hand work. They got to get in here and clean this up before the heat comes and creates like a little mold dish underneath with that debris. You can see all the debris from the trees. That's a project in itself, but if you had bunkers that you didn't have to throw all your manpower at, you can get at this all quicker and have a presentable golf course that much sooner. It's hard to even prioritize actually, but right now our priority is pretty straightforward. Get the water off all the short mowed turf, meaning the fairways at this point. Get the debris cleaned up off the fairways, get the fairways treated with a fungicide, and then we move on from there and try to pump out the water from these bottlenecked areas where you can't, where it's preventing play to come through, and then ultimately keep pumping rough and bunkers and then fix bunkers.